The power of forgiveness. Have you ever felt like you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders? The pain of betrayal, the sting of harsh words, the resentment that poisons your mind. What if I told you that all of it, yes, every ounce of that anger, could be let go with just one powerful act? Forgiveness. It's one of the most powerful tools to bring peace into your life. But it's not what you think. Forgiveness isn't about letting the other person off the hook. It's about freeing yourself. In this video, we'll unlock the secrets of how forgiveness can bring you true freedom and inner peace, as taught by the Buddha himself. You may think you know what forgiveness is, but what if I told you that it's not just a moral act, it's the path to liberation? Watch until the end, because we're about to dive deep into one of the most transformative practices in Buddhism. Don't miss this. Your peace of mind is on the other side of this journey. Stay with us till the end. The secret to your inner peace is closer than you think. Forgiveness in Buddhism is not just an act of letting go. It is a profound shift in our mindset, a liberation from the emotional and mental chains that keep us imprisoned in past pain. In the Buddhist tradition, forgiveness is inextricably linked to compassion and understanding. It is not about condoning wrongdoings, but about recognizing that holding on to anger and resentment only perpetuates our own suffering. To understand forgiveness more deeply, we must explore one of the core teachings of Buddhism, the Four Noble Truths. These truths guide us through the reality of suffering, the root causes of suffering, and the path to overcoming suffering. When we hold on to anger, we are not living in accordance with the truths of impermanence and interconnection. Anger is an emotional attachment, an attachment to the wrongs done to us, and it causes a cycle of suffering that we perpetuate every time we choose not to forgive. The Buddha teaches us that suffering is an inevitable part of life. It's woven into the fabric of human existence through birth, aging, illness, and death. But the Buddha also teaches us that suffering does not have to define us. In fact, we have the power to choose how we respond to suffering. The Buddha taught that by cultivating mindfulness, compassion, and wisdom, we can transcend suffering. Forgiveness is one of the most powerful tools in our journey toward liberation because it directly addresses the emotional suffering that arises from past harm and betrayal. Many people live their lives burdened by the weight of past injuries, betrayal, loss, rejection, or even trauma. The wounds may be physical or emotional, but the impact is often the same. They shape our perceptions of ourselves and the world around us. Forgiveness offers a chance to release these emotional burdens and heal. It's important to understand that forgiveness is not about minimizing the pain or invalidating your emotions. It's about acknowledging the hurt, sitting with it, and then choosing to release it. Buddhism teaches us that when we hold on to anger, it doesn't just affect our emotional state, it also impacts our physical health. Studies in both Buddhist and Western traditions show that unprocessed anger and resentment can lead to chronic stress, anxiety, and even physical ailments like hypertension and heart disease. Forgiveness, on the other hand, has been shown to reduce stress, lower blood pressure, and improve overall health. One of the most famous stories of forgiveness in Buddhist tradition involves the encounter between the Buddha and a notorious criminal named Angulimala. Angulimala had killed 999 people and was on his way to kill his 1,000th victim when he encountered the Buddha. Rather than condemning Angulimala for his actions, the Buddha approached him with compassion and wisdom. He didn't see the criminal as a lost cause, but as someone who was deeply trapped in the cycle of ignorance and suffering. The Buddha spoke to Angulimala with kindness, helping him to understand the consequences of his actions and guiding him to a path of peace and nonviolence. Angulimala, moved by the Buddha's compassion, chose to abandon his violent ways and sought refuge in the teachings of the Buddha. In time, Angulimala became a monk, renounced his past, and lived a life of peace. This story illustrates the power of compassion and forgiveness, not only for the person being forgiven, but also for the one offering forgiveness. By extending compassion, the Buddha transformed the life of a man who was once consumed by hatred and violence. This story reminds us that no one is beyond redemption, and that forgiveness can bring even the most lost souls back to the light. In Buddhism, forgiveness is deeply connected to the practice of non-attachment. Attachment is the root cause of suffering, as it binds us to the past and prevents us from living fully in the present. When we hold on to anger, we are attaching ourselves to the wrongs done to us, refusing to let go of the past and move forward. Non-attachment doesn't mean we don't feel emotions. It means we don't let those emotions control us. When we forgive, we release the attachment to anger, resentment, and the need for revenge. This act of letting go allows us to create space in our hearts and minds for peace, love, and joy. The Buddha once said, "Hatred does not cease by hatred, but only by love. This is the eternal rule." This teaching reminds us that the only way to break the cycle of hate is to respond with compassion and understanding. When we forgive, we are choosing love over hate, peace over conflict, and freedom over suffering. One of the most beautiful teachings in Buddhism is that forgiveness is a gift we give to ourselves. It is not about what the other person deserves. It is about what we need to heal. Holding on to anger and resentment weighs us down, and we carry that burden in our hearts and minds every day. When we forgive, we free ourselves from that weight. We stop allowing the actions of others to control our emotional state, and we regain control over our own happiness. In Buddhist practice, we are encouraged to see all beings as interconnected. Our anger and hatred toward others only create division, while forgiveness fosters unity. Forgiveness allows us to transcend the ego, the part of us that feels hurt and desires revenge, and to cultivate a heart that is open, compassionate, and free from judgment. One of the most powerful tools for cultivating forgiveness is the practice of loving kindness meditation, or Metta. In this meditation, we first focus on sending loving kindness to ourselves, recognizing our own needs for happiness and peace. Then, we extend that love and compassion to others, starting with loved ones and gradually widening the circle to include people we may have conflicts with, and even those who have wronged us. Metta meditation helps us develop a heart that is open and free from judgment. It encourages us to see others not as enemies or threats, but as fellow beings who are also seeking happiness and freedom from suffering. This practice shifts our mindset from one of anger and division to one of love and unity. Forgiveness is a lifelong practice. It is not something that happens overnight, but rather a continuous process of letting go, healing, and growing. Each time we forgive, we take a step closer to inner peace and liberation. But it's important to remember that forgiveness doesn't mean we tolerate abuse or injustice. It doesn't mean we stay in harmful situations or allow others to treat us poorly. Forgiveness means we choose not to carry the burden of anger with us any longer. We choose peace, not because the other person deserves it, but because we deserve peace. As we move forward on this path of forgiveness, we should remember the words of the Buddha. You will not be punished for your anger. You will be punished by your anger. Anger is like a fire. It burns not only the one we direct it toward, but also ourselves. When we forgive, we extinguish that fire, allowing the heart to be free from the suffering it causes. So how do you start moving towards forgiveness? 1. Mindfulness. Begin by becoming aware of your emotions. Notice when anger, resentment, or hatred arises. Sit with these feelings without judgment, recognizing that they are a natural part of being human. 2. Compassion. Extend compassion to yourself. Acknowledge your pain and suffering without judgment. Forgive yourself for holding on to these emotions for so long. 3. Loving kindness meditation. Practice Metta, sending love and peace to yourself and to those who have wronged you. Repeat the phrases, may you be happy, may you be free from suffering. 4. Reflection. Reflect on the shared humanity of all beings. Understand that everyone is subject to suffering, and that those who hurt you are often acting out of their own pain and ignorance. 5. Release. Let go of the need for revenge or punishment. Understand that true freedom comes from releasing the hold that anger has on your heart. 6. Gratitude. Finally, express gratitude for the opportunity to heal. Forgiveness is a gift, not just for the other person, but for yourself. Be grateful for the peace and freedom that come with it. So, what's holding you back? The Buddha taught that hatred does not cease by hatred, but only by love. This is the eternal rule. When we forgive, we are not only liberating ourselves, but we are also creating space for peace in the world around us. Forgiveness is not just for the other person. It's a gift you give to yourself. It's the key to letting go of the past and opening yourself to a future filled with peace, love, and freedom. Forgive and experience the freedom within. If this video has touched your heart and opened your mind, don't just walk away. Take action. Share your thoughts in the comments below. What's something you can forgive today? How can this practice of forgiveness transform your life? If you found this video helpful, hit the like button, subscribe to Buddhism in Life, and ring the bell so you never miss another insightful video on your path to inner peace. Let go of the past, embrace the peace within. Join us on this journey and subscribe now.